and I want to understand why this happens sometimes with men, because I've experienced it to some extent, and I've also heard of it in very close quarters. I know men who go through this patch. Very rough it might be. I think the one that was nearest to me, at the point where he lost his dad, and then everything just started going wrong for him. When I say everything was going wrong, I mean everything was going wrong to the point that his health deteriorated. This man was in a rut for 3 years. And then I know of this lady who he had known from like way back, who by the time he started to get his feet back, she didn't know all of this that was going on. But he had started to get his feet back, and then she found out. He reopened up to her around the time he had started to get his feet back, because he did not want to tell her when he was going through it, because God forbid that she would see me like this, knowing who I used to be. That's one. Two, when she found out, as a friend, she said, look, any kind of support you need, I'm there. Any kind of support you need, I'm there. And this man would go through these rough patches, and whenever he was in a bit of a situation where, all the things of the past are playing back in his life, he will face her, he will target her, and he will demolish her body, soul, and spirit. She was the conduit through which he was expressing his anger and his frustration and everything. At a point, she got tired. She left. I know of another person, again, like I said, close quarters. In his own instance, they were dating when things were good, and then things went bad. And this woman tried everything she could be for him. I think the straw that finally broke the camel's back, that's how they say it. She hadn't seen him for a while. And she said, but we're in a relationship. Okay, fine. I know that in the past, you would always want to be the one to pay for my flight ticket, fly me down to where you are, take care of me, stay in your house, feed me everything. This woman said, forget this thing. I can't go this long without seeing you. We're dating after all, aren't we? And then she said, I'll come and see you. He said, no, don't come. She said, no, I'll come and see you. She now, in her mind though, she was surprising him, doing a lovely thing. She booked her airfare, showed up in his house, used his friends to, make the surprise a very fantastic little package kind of something. Showed up in the house, cooked for him. She spent the weekend with him. I remember she said when she walked into the house and he saw her, he first of all, he was happy, and then he deflated, because I did not want you to see me like this. But this is a relationship that was on for about 5 years or so, and this started happening in the 5th year. So she was like, I have seen everything that there is to you. If I cannot be there for you in this time, then of what use am I to you? But as she left after that weekend that she spent, he made sure that he did not see her again. So I say, let me understand. Because, this thing you're saying about, when men are in this particular state of mind, I have heard it a lot. I've heard from different people. And I've always wondered, why don't they then allow for the women who are still trying to be there for them to be there for them? Instead, they would diminish, and like I said in the last instance, cut them off completely. All because I don't want you to see me like this. So what you have then done is ensure that the conflict did not just come up, but it has persisted, and you have ended the relationship based off of that.
So I mean, those experiences those examples you gave, does it now, is it empowering? Let me put it like that. Is it empowering to the man or empowering to the woman? Is it healthy to any of them?
Of course not. But I had to bring this up because, like I said,
so
is this a thing that men do, so that we can understand it as women, to know that there's no point? Okay.
Unfortunately, there is a skewed and unhealthy concept of masculinity out there that prohibits men from being vulnerable. And that is also because the orientation that men have had even from childhood is that the man is the provider. The man is the superman. The man is the let me not say El Shaddai.
Agune Chamber.
He's everything.
The lion, the conqueror, the champion.
The champion. That is the man. So when a person has grown up with this mentality, right, it's not only when they lose their jobs that you see this thing play out. Even in their choice of partner, they would not date or marry a woman who is economically empowered or as economically as empowered as them or more than them. No, they won't. Because it's against their concept of masculinity. How can she earn more than me? I mean, you will hear men clearly argue this point. If she earns more than me, I won't be able to control her. She will not have respect. I hear men say this thing. Oh, yes. And it's pitiful, actually. It's very pitiful, right? But what you see there is the fact that the conditioning that these men have is that unhealthy programming that the man must be all in all. Again, it's part of the reason why men are unable to be emotionally vulnerable with their partners. When they're going through issues, they want to rather resolve it than discuss, generally speaking. So I'm saying that the fact that that thing happens doesn't mean that it is the healthy way to run things. No, it doesn't mean that. All right. And that is why men who will tell you the truth, especially those who have good wives, will let you know that when they open up to their wives on business decisions and on critical decision-making matters, the inputs from their wives are usually very priceless, very spot on, right? Why? Because these people equally have their own graces that they bring into your life. But when you feel like as the man, I am the, like you say, Agune Chamber, I'm the all in all, the alpha and the omega of this home, and then you would be afraid to present yourself in a time of weakness. You'll be afraid to let them see, but for goodness sake, this is somebody you're calling your wife. This is somebody you're saying you're doing life with. And then you are afraid to be vulnerable before this person when they are the ones that know what your boxers look like when it's dirty, when they are the ones that know what your stockings look like when it's smelly or when your shoes are dirty. They are the ones who have seen you at the lowest point. And then now where your finances are affected, you feel like you cannot share that burden with them, right? So I'm just saying that the fact that these things happen all the time does not make it the healthy way.
Okay.
Right? Men should learn to be vulnerable with their partners, all right? To the extent, especially when you know that you have a quality one. Unfortunately, they are the ones too that are to the left. Some people, once anything is spoiled, they'll tell you, no, I cannot be here again. I mean, there are instances of people who have supported a lady, supported her parents, done everything for them, elevated them, opened a business for them, made sure everybody was good, and then things went south for the man. And then the girl leaves the very moment and say, no, I cannot stay with poor people. Can you imagine? But it's from poverty that they brought you out. And then now you're seeing front, you're not saying that I cannot stay with you. It's simply because things have gone south. But again, I always ask the men, where did you find this time? What were you looking for? Receive counsel, you will not receive counsel. I know what I'm doing. I asked somebody one time, I know what I'm doing. It has led you, look at all the mistakes it has led you into in all your relationships. Mistake, problem, and you still believe you know what you're doing. Can't you see at this point that you don't know what you're doing? Or that thing you think you know, clearly you don't know it because it's always leading you to problems. And then that's where you see all of these disempowering narratives that coming up. All women are this, all men are this. Why? Because out of the 5 women I dated, all 5 of them were like this. And then I keep asking you, why do you keep attracting and being attracted to all the ones that are like this? And then they tell you that, because you are lucky to have a good one, does not mean all the other ones are. And I tell you, no, I wasn't lucky. Why did I not luckily marry a bad one? Do you understand? So there's a lot of intentionality and growth. But men, especially, would refuse to invest in growth, especially around emotional matters or marriage matters or family matters, because I know what I'm doing. So long as I'm making the money, I am the man. So, and then when it's time to be vulnerable, they are unable to be.
Okay, I have a comment here that would beg to differ with this comment you just made about men not wanting to invest. I'll come to it in a little bit, but just very quickly. So in this scenario now, how does one resolve the conflict in a situation where this is the way the man is, and then his wife is there, just trying to be there as much as possible? How does one resolve conflict in this kind of instance now, where it's a loss of a job that is the trigger?
It's the man we need to speak with, because the woman is trying her best to be there, right? So he's the one we need to speak with. The first thing I'll tell him is to seek professional help, seek counseling, seek therapy. Go and talk. If you cannot talk to your wife, go and look for somebody you can talk to. Preferably a professional, not somebody who tell you to go and drink it away. Not
or to find someone else that will take away your pain. Yes, I said it, men. You will do it.
No, not anything like that. So the simple answer I'll give this man is go seek therapy, go seek professional help. All right, so that you don't drive away that good woman. You don't frustrate her. You don't mess things up, lose your job, lose your wife. Then you now say she left me because things were bad. No, she left you because you were bad, not because things went bad. Women are built
good women.
Women can be adaptable. Yeah, exactly. So I changed it to say women can be adaptable if they choose to be.
Okay.
Do you understand? So seek professional help, come to therapy and speak with a counselor. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's treat that third case.
I will, but let me just drop. I'll just drop it. You don't have to respond to it. Anonymous sent in the message. He said, Coach M, the burning of bridges is something that is ripping me apart right now. I've been through emotional and verbal abuse, where my better half has given me the impression that I can never be good enough. Yet the good book talks about forgiveness. And in as much as I am ready to go that route, the response I'm getting is all negative. This really brings me to a crossroads, and I'm indeed almost helpless. Please, what is your opinion on this? Like I said, you don't have to respond. Do you want to?
Yeah. Okay, when it gets to cases like this, specifics, I will advise you speak with a counselor. It's not a radio advice thingy. Why? Because there's a lot more scope we need to get into the whole issue, right? Yeah, you have presented it as it affects you, but there's a lot more questioning I need to, typically need to ask you and stuff like that. So the first thing I'll just say is, identify a counselor, a therapist, and then speak with the person. All right? I won't just stay here and tell you, go and forgive. I don't even know the extent of what you're talking about. And then you can forgive and save your life by not being there. Do you understand? So again, I need to know the context to know which one would apply.
Okay.
Right? So please, I'll advise that person to reach out to a therapist, reach out to a counselor, anyone you know. If you don't know anyone, then reach out to me, talk to Somi to connect with me,
Okay, Anonymous, I hope you got that. Let's quickly look at that last scenario. I'm sure Coach was very keen to hear it because I said counseling came up and it did not work. I'm going to try and run through the story as quickly as possible, okay? So, let's say their names are Joseph and Mary, okay? Joseph and Mary have been married for 18 years. They have 2 children who are 13 and 16 years old. Joseph is a hard worker, dedicates himself to his career. He believes that by providing for his family, he's doing his job as a husband and as a father, puts in the hours at work, and has done so for the last 20 years. So it's the same job he was at before he even married his wife. He's done quite well in his career, and he provides a nice lifestyle for his wife and his kids. Mary, dedicated wife and mother, has poured herself into taking care of the family, but there's always been something missing. She feels disconnected from Joseph. Over the years, their intimacy has suffered a slow and steady death. For the first 10 years or so, imagine how long she's been dealing with this. For the first 10 years or so, she excused it by telling herself that Joseph works so hard, he's a good husband and a father, so she let it go. Every once in a while, she would bring up how she was feeling. She would tell Joseph of her needs. She would explain that she needs a little more attention, a little more affection, and she would tell him that she wishes they did more things together as a couple and a family. Joseph would try for a couple of weeks and then things would go back to the way they were. Sometimes he would get angry and accuse her of not appreciating how hard he works for the family. Is that not enough for her? Mary will feel guilty and go back to quietly accepting that marriage is unfulfilling. Now, in the 18th year, after the same frustration recycling itself over and over again, Mary has had enough. She has begun to feel ignored and resentful, her needs never being met, and Joe never really hearing her. She tells Joe she wants a divorce. Joe goes into a panic. He loves his wife. He does not want to lose her or his family. He tells her he will do anything to make it work. He apologizes for all the years of neglect and promises he will change his ways. He is now willing to go to counseling, even though for years she begged him to go and he refused. Her response is, it is too late. She tries, actually. She tries to go to counseling out of pity and out of guilt because she feels terrible that it has come to this. She feels sad about ending the marriage, but she has tried and tried, and she tried for so long before she finally gave up. Though she blames herself for ending the marriage, she feels like she did not get it to this place alone. And so even after she tried to go to counseling, it did not work because she has already checked out of the marriage. She's emotionally worn out and has nothing left to give to make it work. Church Agbasa is what they say at this point, isn't it? Because this is the situation with this couple. How could this possibly be resolved? Coach, why you are thinking? Intimacy, another major cause of conflicts in relationships. And intimacy is so much more than sex, but clearly sex is part of it. But just from the story I told, you could tell that she wanted affection, attention, wanted them to do things together as a family. But Baba said, am I not doing enough? Is it not enough for you? And now she has checked out. How can this be resolved?
Is she asking how it can be resolved, or are we the ones asking for her? Because from what I see,
I'm the one asking.
Okay.
Because I said she tried to go to counseling because Baba Joe realized that it has gone red, but she has checked out. How does this work?
Let me speak to what happened here. Excuse me.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. So what happened here is the fact that the man didn't understand all this while what the need was and did not understand what his limitations were. He thinks, again, the psyche of this man, all I need to do as a man is provide and make sure everyone is comfortable. And I'm working my head out to achieve that. What more do you want me to do? You get it? Now, that is the orientation of a lot of men. Am I not paying the house rent? Have I not bought you a new car? I make sure you go on vacations every year. I make sure the family school fees are paid. Have I ever disturbed you or told you to contribute to any of this? What more do you want me to do? Do you want to kill me? Do you want my blood? And she's saying, I did not marry a house. I did not marry a car. I did not marry vacations. I married a human. And I want to spend time with the human, right? So for him, he didn't understand what the need was, right? And then that's just the surface. So the real problem is, why does he lack the ability to recognize that? This is where the real therapy work is. Why? She has said it, she has cried, she has complained, she has tried. Even now that he's trying to go for therapy or counseling, I'm sure she has been saying since, maybe we should talk to a counselor.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, please don't talk to me. Because in his mind, nothing is wrong here. You're just disturbing me. You, this woman, I don't know what else you want. You're very ungrateful, right? Because he does not understand. And I can tell you categorically that if we get into a psychoanalysis with that man, his problem may have started from infancy all the way down to when they born out. Oh, yes.
That's what he understood as taking care of a woman, and so he did it to the best of his ability.
Yes, but I'm saying that the reason why he was that detached from her emotionally and to maintain that worldview about being a husband could be because right from infancy, Man didn't know what affection was. He didn't. He didn't know what secure attachments were. Right? So he has grown up through the years to be that unemotional person. There are a lot of men like that. The only thing they know about emotions is when they are ready to sleep with their wife. After that one, everything returns to brick and mortar. So unfortunately, it goes way back to his childhood, and we won't have the time to get into all of that now. But I'm just saying that is the real why. So when you find people who are emotionless or who don't understand how to interpret emotion, who don't understand how to interpret affection, who don't understand the need for togetherness, who don't understand the need for vulnerability, who don't understand the need for shared emotional experiences, many times the problem goes way back to their childhood. So now if we're to help these people, what this man needs is not to be making promises up and down, because if she comes back, he will be exactly the same person he has always been. He will just try for a few weeks and months.
Like the story said, he will try and then things will go back.
Yeah, and he'll go back to what he is. Why? Because of what I'm saying now. The root has to be dealt with. And that is the work of a proper therapist. We need to go back to where the wound happened and treat it from there. It's a trauma wound. We need to go back there and treat it from there. And then this person will experience more or less a rebirth, an emotional rebirth. And now will understand and will have the requisite skills to be available for his wife. All right? Yeah. So now let's speak to the woman. She has tried and tried and tried and tried and gotten to the point where it has finished. Sincerely, unless she decides that she wants to come back, I don't have any counsel for her. Because what she's thinking about right now is the fact that I have given all the hope, all the trust, all the faith I have to this man, and it has failed. 18 years of my life gone. I don't want the rest of my life to be like these 18 years. And she's saying to herself, I need to find a way to pick up whatever is left and check if perhaps there's still hope for me in this world to experience the kind of affection I'm looking for.
Perhaps.
So definitely she's not looking in his direction.
Perhaps.
You get it? Yeah. So anybody telling her, go back there, you may not be doing, in fact, she will just block you. Because you are categorized as an enemy right now. So the only thing that can happen is if she decides to say, I'm willing to open up my heart again. And even for that, she too will need therapy because she's gone through a lot of hurts. She's gone through a lot of hurts.
Okay.
That needs to be healed. All right. She needs to be able to open up her heart again to say, okay, yes, I'm giving this another chance. But that is entirely up to her. If she doesn't want to do that, she has tried, she deserves the life she has imagined for herself. So she's definitely going to try, either sorting out the rest of her life by herself, or she will look for, if she's still in the market, somebody else will see her and say, I like you and I want to show you love. And maybe what she has been looking for, she will find in this one. Right? But it will take more than advice to tell her to go back.
Jay from Gariki also with the angle that it could be that the man who was not expressing intimacy and all with his wife for 18 years was enjoying some steamy relationships outside from time to time. That was Jay's thought. Okay.
We will always get that dimension. But let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Emotional what's the word now? I'm looking for the word to explain someone who is not emotionally developed properly or healthily. Let me put it like that. That man can be a faithful man and is not sleeping with nobody. I'm telling you, he can be. It's not because he's getting it healthy. People are quick to jump on that narrative. What's the value?
Yes, now, because is that not the narrative that we've been sold? Men. Yeah, exactly. Men are very
He can be a very committed man.
Men like what they see, and when they see a woman, they want to just, but it doesn't mean anything.
That's very unhealthy. And
Speaking about narratives that we've been sold.
No, it's very wrong. He can be a very faithful man. In fact, the fact that he was devastated when she filed for divorce can tell you that yes, he could be a faithful man.
Could, okay.
And he thinks he's doing his best. Do you understand? He's the kind of man that, even though he's not there for her, the day he wants to do, he will tap her and say, oh yeah, this night, let it happen. And what will she do now? She's wife. She'll say, okay. But in her mind, it needs to be more than this
Than
thing.
that, yeah. Yeah.
Do you understand? It needs to be more than this. It's not because he's not. No, if he wants it from his wife, he will ask, and she will grant him, right? But it's for her. It's more than that. In his mind, you see, and this is where I said a lot of men don't understand how this thing works. They think that, oh, after all, now we had sex yesterday. Oh, we still make love once in a while. But for her, she's not there. She's just giving you body. Emotionally, she's not there. And some ladies will tell you that whenever they're done with that thing, some of them just start crying because what's all this?
They feel
especially
used.
when exactly. And maybe the man does not even know what to do and where to take her to glory land. So you just come, enter, pump, get out. She's wondering what's going on here. Nothing. She's not even around zero. And Oga has finished and slept off. And then she's looking at him snoring away and just wondering, is this my life? So those things can even push her farther away from him emotionally because the hurts will be grave, and no matter how she tries to express it, he's not open for a conversation. And that's another problem. She tries to say, okay, let's even talk about this. And then he starts telling her, am I not doing my best? What do you want me to do again? What do you want me to do again? And then if he's somebody who's private to maybe the kind of past she has had or private to her kind of ex, the exes she had, he will start making those kind of comments.
Yeah.
I'm not that your ex-boyfriend that did not have a job. And I'll be giving you 10 rounds. Please, I'm busy. And then so it just pushes her away.
Okay.
It pushes her away, even though she's still there. Yeah.
Like I said, I dug a little deeper just to be able to come up with some of these stories, people's true life stories, as a matter of fact, just so that we can provide context and sort of like give a broader understanding as to, okay, if you're in this instance, perhaps that's how you can go about if you're in this instance. And clearly, especially from the last two cases that we talked about, some things just require a professional touch. They could require professional help. And so if you have somebody professional who you can talk to, you want to be able to take on that angle if you're in any of these scenarios that we've described, especially with the last two. And then if you don't have anybody, Coach Maisie is available. I have a message here, though. Victor from Cuba started earlier on by saying most of these problems or challenges in relationships or marriage come naturally, and it's good we always allow the couple get along with it in order to get more wisdom and understanding. Myself and my wife do have misunderstandings, but the way we solve it has nothing to do with the advice from people or family members. I could not get to... In fact, let me just leave that one. He continues, I disagree with you, sir, on this woman's issues. Let the woman tell us the truth, except she has another man in mind. You people always ask the men to cry out, and when we cry out, you people still blame us for crying out. We should stop making the woman believe all the time that they can get everything they want from a man, which is not possible. Let's see. I have a voice note, and then Coach will take on all the responses, and then we'll wrap up the show for today. It's already 11:19. Let me play the voice note.
Job. It is always very difficult on the man, actually. The coach is right. He is really right. I've been in that shoe. But in this situation, it is the part of the woman that will help to calm the man. This is why a decision of marriage, I think, it's part of the reason why God instituted marriage. The wife needs to be calm. The wife needs to, words of advice, words of encouragement. If the wife is a nagging wife, then there will be a problem in that house. Now, it is the wife that will become the pastor in the house, will be the motivational speaker, will be the one that will calm the mind of that man. So it is not always very easy. But men too should know that it's only God that can resolve it. It's not human. Christy from Kuje, it's a great topic and good advice coming from the coach. Thank you. Have a good deliberation.
All right then. Thank you so much, Christy. It was a bit hard to hear you because I think you were a little too close to the mic of your phone, and so there was a lot of interference there. Coach, were you able to catch anything she said? No, not at all.
Nope.
Okay, okay.
I was hoping you would help me. Yeah.
I had difficulty hearing, but I think the little I caught had to do with, saying, look, sometimes it can be really difficult on the man, and the woman needs to come through and be the support and the help that the man needs, right? That was pretty much what I was able to catch on that. All right, do you want to respond to anything else as we wrap up the conversation for today? Perhaps the other message that someone said, women are, we're always making women get away with what? How did he put it? He says you ask the men to cry out, and when we cry out, you still blame us for crying out. You should stop making the woman believe all the time that they can get away, they can get everything they want from a man, which is not possible.
Really, I don't necessarily debate people's opinions, right? Because we're speaking from different levels. Let me put it like that.
Okay.
Therapy talk is not street talk. It's not advice. It's not a popular conversation. So when I hear these opinions, I just say, okay, that's all I will say. I'll just say, okay. But you really need to understand that I'm seeing things from a wider spectrum than just street talk. I mean, let's leave it like that. So the examples you won't hear me reference. I won't jump into women should this, men should that, or because it's not what the practice will support. So basically, what he was saying was referencing. He spoke to the two cases. One where we said the man should be emotionally vulnerable to his partner, and then at the same time spoke to this second one where he said the woman should tell us the truth that she's looking for another man. That does not have to be the case. That does not have to be the case. The world is not as it's not as upside down as people think it is. There are still normal people. They are still committed.
Okay. Coach there trying to bring the conversation to a close. Said the world is not as upside down. Trust me, I know that there are some upside down cases. We see some upside down cases. I think the point of all of this conversation is we have to be careful not to generalize. But I mean, I get the concerns that you may have had when you sent in this message. But sometimes we need to there are truths that we need to decide to either live with or free.
Back.
Yes, we're back. There are truths that we can decide to either live with, or reject. In all of the conversation today, I know that we have not said, oh, this is the situation here or this situation there. As much as possible, we try not to generalize here. And even when there are instances to generalize, we always bring it back to the conversation around, is this a myth or is this a fact? When they say women are like this, men are like that. But I mean, wherever this is coming from, you're entitled to your opinion. We try as much as possible to be very, very objective here. So if you say, oh, you make women believe they can get away with everything they want from a man, I will join with Coach to say, I leave you to your opinions. It's okay. It's okay. If that's what you got from here, it's okay. Coach also spoke to the fact that men, by virtue of culture, background, raising, wiring or rewiring, there are certain stereotypes that men push. I don't think anybody even needs to speak to that. I think even men know that you are wired to be a man. And so if you do find yourself in a situation where this thing, like what happened to this person in the story happened, where you lost your job, that's why Coach said the first person we need to address in this instance is the man. We also made mention of the fact that some women will pume in that instance. At the end of the day, the goal is God help us all to find that right person, right? But we also speak to intentionality when it comes to finding those people. Coach, I don't believe we need to do a session on. We've dealt with toxic masculinity before on this show. Yes.
Yeah, we have.
We've also, did we handle the femininity part of it? I messed that word up sometimes. Did we?
I don't think we did that. We were going to, but I don't think it came up.
Okay. So we'll have a session that allows us to address everything from both sides. But as far as dealing with conflicts in relationship, it's safe to say that we've touched on this as much as we can, right, Coach? Yes?
Yeah, these matters are really not exhaustible. So you treat it to a point and then you leave it and come back to it sometime again and come back again and again. So yeah, but we've covered some ground, I think.
Okay. All right. Christy from Kuje, I'm glad to hear that I got some parts of what you said. I relayed the message as best as I can to Coach as well, and we got what you said there. Larabai is typing. She says, emotionally handicapped, perhaps severely so. The phrase that came to my mind when Coach Mezi said he was searching for the words to express a particular sentiment or perspective. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That was a good one. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lara. And to every other person who has listened in and contributed in one way or the other, we say thank you as well as we bring the series on handling conflict in relationship to a resounding close today. Hallelujah. But that's not to say that if you have instances that pertain to you and you want a more introspective look into it, you can't reach out. You can reach out. I always say my email is available. You can reach out to me. If you just want to head straight to Coach Mezi, he's Coach Mezi on all social media platforms. That's CoachMayzy. You cannot miss out when you put in those words across all social media platforms. So you want us to address you personally, by all means, reach out and we'll see what we can do about that. Coach, of course, will always be here for us as much as God wills it. But for tonight, we have to let him go. It's 11:28 p.m. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure being here.
Appreciate you so much. I can't stop looking at your haircut. Please go before I get mischievous and start saying. Have a lovely night, boss. Appreciate you.
All right. Yeah, okay. Bye.
All right, then. All right, our time on the couch is ended, and that means I have just about 30 more minutes or less, about 25 minutes to be with you on the late night show before I also find my way home. It is Monday, and that means that it is the late night request show with a twist.